What's going on, guys? Tower number 9 here, and today we're going to be opening up a pre-release kit from Shadows of the Galaxy for Star Wars Unlimited TCG. Let's take a look. This kit was sent to me as part of the press kit by Fantasy Flight Games, which they sent over as sort of a, free gift to help promote the set. So big shout out to Fantasy Flight for sending that to me. I really appreciate it, and we're going to get you a pack opening here and a sort of simulated pre-release with some discussion of tactics there in terms of building a deck. So, the contents of this box, it has a little cardboard deck box or similar stuff. Just a basic deck box, nothing too fancy. It does have a divider here that comes inside it with the, what is this? Shadows of the Galaxy, just general splash art. I don't think this is the actual art of a card, but it's just in there. Helps you divide stuff up. You can also, if you're putting stuff in those large storage boxes or whatever later on, you can use that as a divider there too, potentially. We have a little envelope here. This is gonna, I believe, have our promo pre-release leaders. And that is right. So right here, Mandalorian, Sworn to the Creed, and Moff Gideon, Formidable Commander, both of them in hyperspace, and with a foil leader side. So it's hyperspace foil on the leader side and just normal hyperspace without foiling on the unit side here. And these are only going to be available in the pre-release kits. So if you want to play one of these leaders and you want to get your hands on this cool version of them, that is going to be a pre-release kit only option. Though, if you don't have a pre-release near you or can't get a kit or they're all sold out or whatever it is, you can pick up a 2-player starter and you'll get the normal version of Mandalorian and Moff Gideon. So we then have the packs here, of course, and then we have a quick start rule book and a bunch of counters to punch out. So you can use these as your counters at the event. Pretty nice, little helpful thing there for the people who might not have counters that they're bringing to the table for the event. So we're just gonna put those over in the corner here. And now for the the meat of the opening is gonna be the actual cards. So let's take a look at what we have here. 6 boosters in a pre-release. That's going to be your sealed pool. And yeah, let's take a look. First pack here. We have Kira, the Remnant Science Facility base, Heroic Renegade, Outland TIE Vanguard, Hylabon Enforcer, Desperate Attack, Hawk 290 Freighter, Black Sun Starfighter, a nice hyperspace Principled Outlaw, very cool looking, Liberated Slaves, Rich Reward, Fell the Dragon, that's some nice removal, IG-11, Zuckuss, and then as our rare we have Dr. Pershing, and we have a foil Twin Pod Cloud Car. Now, when I'm setting things up for pre-release, one thing that I like to do is spread things out by aspect. And another thing that I like to do sometimes is to think about what would be my first pick if this were a draft. So let's lay these cards out and we'll talk about the draft pick potential, and then we'll put them into kind of a more pre-release orientation. So of these cards here, I think if I'm thinking about a draft, I like the so-called Baron method, where the B is bombs, A is ambush, R is removal, O is opening, and N is nice to have. So first I'm looking to see if there are any bombs here, cards that are like just really high impact and powerful. I don't see anything that strikes me as immediately like a mega bomb. The closest might be Zuckuss here. So Zuckuss is Zuckuss is really, really strong if you get Forlom, and even if you don't, he has powerful stats in Saboteur, but he's a little clunky on his own. If you don't have that Forlom, you kind of just play him, and he has, you know, he sits there. And then in terms of ambush, I'm not seeing any ambushers here. So then our next thing would be removal, with Fell the Dragon being a strong removal card against powerful enemy units. I think in this situation, I didn't do the thing that I do sometimes where I have the leaders separated out, which would inform the situation somewhat. In fact, let's say we're gonna do that. So we're gonna separate this into 2 groups of 3, and we will take the leaders from these other 2 packs and say that that was my leader pool for the draft. So we have the Kira, we have Cad Bane. I'm gonna put the Mandalorian and Moff Gideon over here. So Kira, Cad Bane, and then we're gonna open up a 3rd pack here and see what we have leader-wise there as well. And for this one, it's gonna be Fennec Shand. So we do have leaders from both. Heroism and Villainy here, and we have a lot of cunning. Cad Bane, it has that underworld synergy. So looking at these leaders, I would be somewhat inclined I think I'd be somewhat inclined to just take Zuckuss. It's probably either Zuckuss or Fell the Dragon, but I think I like Cad Bane the most of those leaders. So I might just go with Zuckuss and start taking other underworld stuff, hoping to get a Forlom at some point. Fennec Shand also does allow you to make other units into ambushers, so we could just take something that has like relatively efficient stats, like Liberated Slaves. But I think if I want to stay more open, it's going to be the Fell the Dragon, and if I want to be more committed, it's probably going to be Zuckuss. So that would be what I would do with the, that would be my pack 1, pick 1, I think, from this pack, though, you know, I could easily be wrong. Now I'm going to start separating things by aspects. So this is a technique that I like to use for sealed, where what I'm trying to do is basically just get a quick sense of where I'm at. I'm just trying to get a quick sense of where I'm at in terms of number of cards from the different aspect combinations, because one thing that often happens is that just by luck of the draw, you'll end up with one aspect combo or whatever that has more cards than another, and that can be a indication that that would be a useful combination to go for. So actually, we're gonna put a hyperspace card here in a sleeve. Should probably also do that for Mandalorian and Moff Gideon over there, but I'm not messing with them as much right now, so perhaps I will do that in a moment. So we're gonna have this, we'll move the leaders off for now, and then this pile is gonna be neutral. And then, so as you can see, I have the heroism versions above the pile. The center line here is going to be the center line here is going to be the kind of neutral or just single aspect cards, and below that line we have the villainy ones, above it we have the heroism ones. And let's take a look at our next pack. So here we have a Maz Kanata's Castle, which is hyperspace and quite nice looking. A Delphi Patrol Wing, Covetous Rivals, Outflank, Gentle Giant, Housecast Soldier, Moisture Farmer, Privateer Sick, Slaver's Freighter, Wookiee Warrior, Ketsu Onyo, a New Adventure. This is a cool double aspect card. Echo. He's pretty solid, but he's not so great in limited because he is reliant on having multiple copies of units with the same name. Although I don't know, you know, maybe you have your pool with your, you know, 5 you know, 5 of whatever basic unit, and you have 5 2-drops with the same name and have Echo to buff them, could work. Stolen Landspeeder as our rare, and then Foundling here as a foil card. So of these, you know, if we're picking, you know, if this is my pack and I'm trying to figure out what to pick first, this is honestly not my favorite pack. We don't have anything that strikes me as a super bomb. You know, we don't have anything that is a really solid ambush card. So Echo, we pick Echo if we have a lot of duplicates and are in those aspects maybe. Otherwise, I don't know, Adelphi Patrol Wing and Covetous Rivals are both like relatively big, powerful units, but they're not amazing. Covetous Rivals only really works well if you have a bunch of bounty stuff. Adelphi Patrol Wing is probably the card that I would give the strongest just like general rating to and would be the quickest to select. Maybe some other stuff if there were synergies, but yeah. And then with the leaders that we had earlier, you know, I don't know that any of this lines up all that well. You know, maybe we take the Privateer Sick, but that's just like kind of okay, even if you have the synergy enabled. Maybe we say, hey, we're committed to this Cad Bane deck. Let's go for the Slaver's Freighter. But, you know, if you're pack one, pick one, you probably don't want to be committing that early. So not the finest pack, to be honest with you. Not the finest pack, at least from a drafting perspective. Let's get some of these cards classified here so that we'll have our sealed pool in a better state. And, you know, you might notice that some of these piles are very thin. In fact, some of them don't even have any cards yet. But that's kind of normal. There are a lot of different aspect combinations, and it'll take some time for you to get your full pool set up here when you're doing a sealed event. I'm going to put this double aspect card off to the side. I want those to be in sort of a different category than the normal ones because it's very unlikely that I'm going to be playing a double aspect deck in sealed. There is some chance, but normally things don't really line up that way. All right, so now our third pack from the simulated drafting aspect here. Death Watch Hideout. That's a cool base. So then we have the Reputable Hunter. This is a very solid card. If an enemy unit has a bounty, this unit costs 1 less to play. Really good against those built-in bounty units. And also just a generally, in my opinion, relevant card if you have bounties of your own, especially 0-cost bounties. Playing this guy on the first turn is really, really good. We then have the Wanted Insurgents. We have the Outlaw Corona. We have the Nima Outpost Constables. Interesting unit there. We have Guavian Antagonizer, one of those built-in bounty units I was just talking about. Another Foundling upgrade. We saw one of those earlier. Attached unit gains the Mandalorian trait. Relentless Pursuit. This is probably the best of the capture cards in my opinion, but it does require that you have Bounty Hunter trait synergy. Speaking of Bounty Hunter trait, they're the Resourceful Pursuers, 5 for a 5/6 Saboteur. Another bounty synergy with the Bounty Guild Initiate. The Kyrax Heavy Fighter, which I personally don't like, but I know some people are a lot more positive on. Sinara San, Loyal to Kragan. Ooh, this is a fine looking card. Check this out. We have a Hyperspace Kersantan. That's a good looking card. And then an Arquitens Assault Cruiser. Each for a 7/8 ambush that can turn your opponent's units into resources. Ooh, and actually this is a double rare pack because our foil is Boba Fett's armor here. Now in this simulated draft, we don't have Boba Fett as a leader, or else this would be a bomb and something that I would immediately pick. But this is a pretty cool pack overall. You know, looking at these cards, so let's see here. Unfortunately, I don't have a super defined knowledge of what is or isn't a bomb. Kersantan seems like he can be a bomb in at least some situations, but requires bounties and other synergy. The Arquiten's assault cruiser is kind of a bomb, but it's also really expensive. Snarasan's not that good. I'm not fond of the Kyrax. Bounty Guild Initiate's a nice opening play. Resourceful Pursuer is just an efficient stats unit and has Bounty Hunter synergy. Relentless Pursuit might be the card because it has removal and it stays open. No Sweet Ambushers. Reputable Hunter is a good opening move or just nice to have card, though, if you have that bounty synergy. And that Boba Fett's armor, if we had Leader Boba, would probably be so good that I would immediately take it and basically lock into being Command Cunning. But since we didn't have that in the pool, I think my pick from this pack would probably be the Relentless Pursuit. At least in terms of winning the draft. You know, in terms of cash money, maybe Boba Fett's armor is going to be valuable, maybe Hyperspace Kersantan's valuable, but at least in terms of winning the draft, I think I'd go with the Relentless Pursuit. So now we'll sort these, and then we're going to take a look at our leaders from the next packs and see where we are for the second sort of simulated draft in our 3x3 method here. Oh, and I should, gotta grab some sleeves. Yeah, let's put some sleeves on here. I think Kersantan gets a sleeve, as does Foil Boba's armor. I mean, honestly, I should really probably sleeve any rare that I get, but you know, we'll see if I remember to do that. Thus far, I have not always been properly remembering that. I also don't 100% know what all the rares in this set actually are, to tell you the truth. A little embarrassing, but there are some cards that I'm like, oh, that's uncommon, I thought that was rare, or whatever. All right, so now we're gonna do the second 3 packs. And we are going to take a look at the leaders first. So if we do this groups of 3 method, I might have called the 3x3 method that before. That's not right. It's usually 2x3. So what you do is, if you open packs in groups of 3, you can do the simulated draft with the leaders from the 3 packs as your draft leaders. And then if you do 2 groups of 3, you can then make a sealed pool, as I'm doing here, and make a sealed deck afterwards. So in terms of our leaders for this one, we're going to have Gar Saxon, buffs upgraded units. Then opening up our second pack here, we're going to have, ooh, this time we do have Boba Fett. So if I had had this when I was opening that 3rd pack, I almost certainly would have taken Boba's armor as pack 1, pick 1. But, you know, that wasn't an option that time, so Boba Fett over there. Heroism Boba, of course, a different version, more based on the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian Season 2 than on the original trilogy. And then our last leader is going to be Han. This is a pretty good leader pool. I actually like all 3 of these leaders, so that's encouraging. And now let's start looking at the actual cards in these packs. So this one will have a Coronet City as the base here. Timely Intervention. This is a really good card. It's not an ambush card itself, but it gives your other cards ambush. And it also has Smuggle, allowing you to smuggle resource early and then ambush in later when the time is right. So this is pretty strong. I would consider this an ambush card in my sort of Baron system or whatever. So this would be a relatively high pick, but we'll see if I can draw something better. Desperado Freighter. This unit just has efficient stats. 5 for 5, 6 in space is pretty strong, but no abilities. Warbird Stowaway. I think this card is extremely bad. It's basically like the Ardent Sympathizer, except worse. An ardent sympathizer is already kind of below the bar, in my opinion, but I could be wrong. Maybe you have Hondo and you really want smuggle stuff. Super Commando Squad. This is a good card, and it synergizes really well with the Gar Saxon that we have. So that's a possible card. Rokai Gunship. That's a decent card. Covert Strength. Also synergizes pretty well with Gar Saxon, but this is a common card and it's sort of situational. I would kind of expect this to be the sort of card that might wheel back to us. So even if I thought for sure I was going Gar Saxon, I'm not sure this would be an early pick. Fugitive Wookiee, that's a solid early card if you're in Cunning. None of the leaders are Cunning, so its priority goes down a bit. Mandalorian Warrior, again a card that I think would be pretty solid for Gar Saxon, but is likely to wheel around. Look the Other Way. That's an okay trick. Unexpected Escape. Good against capture. Punishing One. This card is arguably a bomb because 3 for 3/4 in space with an ability that is like potentially quite strong, even if situational, is really good. But it commits us to not only to being villainy, but to being aggression villainy, which basically means we're locking into blue-red Gar Saxon at that point. So it is a big commitment. Coruscant Dissident. 3 for a 3/4. On attack, you may ready a resource. That's decent. Oh, hey. Rey here. Now, this is a legendary card, and I'm going to put it into a sleeve here. I don't actually think Rey is all that good, which is sort of the awkward part, but it is a legendary. If I had Kylo, that would probably be more of an argument for playing this. I don't think she's the best legendary ever, but 5 for a 4/7 is pretty solid, and the healing ability is pretty situational, but if you're playing her in a Kylo deck and can give out a shield, that's better. Pretty cool to pull Rey, though. Ooh. Wow, this was a lucky pack. Check this out. A Hyperspace Foil Triple Dark Raid. Man. So that is a nice looking card. And it could conceivably be strong, but again commits us to aspects that don't match any leader that we have. It's kind of like Ambush, though it's not as fast. Also, it only works if you draft vehicles, which, tend to exist in space. Of these, okay, so look, let's be real. If this is a real draft, I probably draft Rey because she's a legendary, and that's like value draft that's probably going to be worth it. Hyperspace Foil Triple Dark Raid also might be a valuable card, but I bet Rey is going to be more valuable. If we're thinking about what the card is that I would most want to pick at this point, though, it's probably either Timely Intervention or Punishing One. I suspect I would pick Timely Intervention to stay open, but if I had, I don't know, if I had a leader if I had like Bosk or something, I might go for the Punishing One, just because I think these stats are very efficient and this ability can be quite good with some bounties. But in terms of staying open and getting a nice ambush pick, I think I might go with the Timely Intervention first. Feel free to criticize me in the comments below if you disagree. That pack was pretty fire, and I think there are several things that one might have chosen to be the pack one, pick one there. I'm pretty jazzed to have pulled a Rey already, though. That's pretty sweet. I don't think Rey is a card that I actually am likely to use very much, but she's a very prominent character, and it's cool to have. Plus, this Triple Dark Raid is so good looking. The hyperspace treatments in this game are really big winners, if you ask me. Okay. And then good old Rey up there. Okay, so now we're going to move to the second pack of this second draft group. Death Watch Hideout again is a base. Mercenary Company, a reprinted card from Spark of Rebellion, and this is a pretty good one with Ambush and Overwhelm. Hutt's Henchman, not the finest card in the world, but, plays its role and works well with Gar Saxon. Shielded in general is pretty good with Gar Saxon. Pillage, choose a player, they discard 2 cards from their hand, okay. Collections Star Hopper, this card is not very efficient, but it has Smuggle. I'm actually, so this is actually maybe a good time to talk about a little strategic thing. I'm actually kind of pessimistic on smuggle in on cards that are not high impact when it comes to the, here we have a follower of the way. When it comes to the limited formats, the problem that I have with smuggle cards that aren't high impact is simply that there's a higher risk of decking out in these formats, and smuggle gets you closer to that. So I don't really want to smuggle something like this and essentially spend an extra card because it's going to send the top card of my deck into the resource zone. Smuggle is fine, but I prefer to use it on like stronger, more impactful abilities. Just a thought. And of course, if you only have a few smuggle things, or if your deck tempo is very fast, you might think that's fine, but it is a major downside that I've noticed in some cases. Vigilant Pursuit Craft here is a good example of a smuggle card that's higher impact. As a Space Sentinel, its stats aren't really that efficient, but this is still something that you can play if your opponent is threatening you in space. Smuggling something like this out and blocking them for potentially multiple turns, depending on what they're doing, is, in my opinion, worth that card. Cartel Turncoat, that's another built-in bounty high efficiency unit. Protector of the Throne, I am not that fond of this guy. Surprise Strike, hey, this is a classic. This is a very good card in my opinion, from the old days, from Spark of Rebellion, and now it's back. Then we have Crosshair. I think he's really cool. I don't know how strong he is, but I think he's really cool. This is the Way. That's a synergistic card for Mandalorian and upgrade-based decks. Quill, who I think is actually quite strong. Restore, and then has that ability to potentially draw you extra cards with that discard, but you know, in this format, I don't know if you're going to have like a mono deck for maximum draw efficiency with this ability. Probably not, honestly, but it's a cool card. Unfortunately, that discard is a really real downside in this format. Our rare is Kira, who I think is quite cool. And then we have a Pirate Battle Tank, and it is a hyperspace foil. Check that out. Very cool looking card. This card is a big sentinel, and it also has smuggle. And this is a pretty solid card. So looking at all these, so I'm not actually sure if any of these count as bombs. Kira can be very disruptive, but I'm not sure that she's exactly a bomb. She's kind of close to being a bomb. I don't know. The Pirate Battle Tank I think is probably not a bomb, though it is an efficient large unit. I think we probably go with the Mercenary Company as a strong ambush option. Synergizes well with Boba Fett. Could also be played in another deck very easily if we bring in the command aspect. I think I would go Mercenary Company for my pack one, pick one on that pack, though I could be wrong. Maybe I have not actually played with Kira yet, and it's possible that she'll be so good with that disruption that she offers that I will consider her an actual bomb and would put her in higher priority. But I have yet to test that out. Also, good old Surprise Strike is honestly a pretty reasonable card to take here. This card is so good, but we don't have a Cunning Leader, so that kind of diminishes its priority a bit. I would consider Surprise Strike to basically be removal, though, and I think it's a very good removal card at that, to be honest with you. Oh, and then I need to, where are my sleeves? There are my sleeves. We're gonna sleeve up Kira and our nice hyperspace foil Pirate Battle Tank there. What a cool card. Okay, there's one last pack, and we'll do pack one, pick one, and then take a look at this sealed pool and see what we can do. Jabba's Palace as the base. Death Watch Loyalist. Village Protectors. The Modded Cohort. This is a very strong ambush card with Boba Fett. Death Mark, kind of a card draw option here. Gamorrean Retainer, 2 for a 2/3. Conditional Sentinel, not bad. Cargo Juggernaut, there's another reprint from set 1. The Cloud Rider, also a very good ambush card. It'll probably be defeated with its ambush unless it's attacking something that's strength 0, but you know, gets that hit in, and it's cheap. Underworld Thug. I don't honestly know why they reprinted this one. It might just be for the Underworld theme or whatever. This doesn't feel like the most necessary card to reprint, but it is back. Kintan Intimidator. There's a new Underworld card, probably a better one than the Thug. Unlicensed Headhunter. This is an interesting kind of anti-aggro ship where it can fight the opponent's ships, but the bounty that heals the base means that you don't really want this in an aggro deck. At least it's only while exhausted, but yeah. Ooh, Fennec Shand. Now, Fennec Shand, I think, is probably a kind of a bomb. So Fennec Shand is a very high likelihood of being our pick here, because she's sort of like Han Solo Reluctant Hero, who was an absolute bomb in Spark of Rebellion. Bounty Hunter's Quarry, okay. Imprisoned. Little debuff upgrade. That is going to be our rare as well. And then a foil Brutal Traditions. So I think if I look at this pack, so really Modded Cohort jumps out to me as a strong ambush card. Cloud Rider jumps out to me as a strong ambush card. But I think Fennec Shand is a strong ambush card and kind of a bomb. She can defeat many leaders in one hit because of her on-attack ability, and she also just has generally kind of scary stats and can defeat smaller units without taking retaliation damage with this on-attack. So I think Fennec Shand's probably pack 1, pick 1. She does put us into Cunning, which we aren't otherwise in, but we can just say, okay, no matter what leader we pick, it'll be a Cunning base, and stay open to at least some degree. And if we're locking in on Boba, maybe we just take the Modded Cohort, but I think Fennec's a bomb. So let's break these into the sealed pools now, and we will get to building. So what I like to do here is just have kind of a quick, have these separated out into the piles just so that I have a quick sense of just how many cards I have available in the different aspects. So right now, you know, we have a few, there aren't as many heroism and villainy cards in this set, just plain heroism and plain villainy as in Spark of Rebellion, I believe. We have, you know, for vigilance, heroism, oh, and actually let's get our leaders out. And we're simulating the, I'm going to put a new beginning over here. I probably won't use it. Leaders. And we actually got no duplicates, so we have a lot of choices when it comes to leaders here. Okay. So looking at this, so we have some pretty decent cards for the vigilance heroism side of things. Not like incredible, but not terrible. The generic vigilance cards give us, they give us some options, but I am seeing some stuff like these foundlings that I think are unlikely to see much consideration. I don't know. It's not terrible though. And then our vigilance villainy cards. We got some stuff. If we went for Gar Saxon, those cards would be okay. Command heroism has only 3 cards, but they're all cards that I consider good. Unfortunately, Echo is not really, just kind of a 4 for 4/4 restore 2 because we don't really have duplicates. That does limit his strength somewhat. The Adelphi Patrol Wing here at 5 for a 4/6. When played, you may attack with a unit. If you have the initiative, it gets +2 power for this attack. That's a solid option. We do have some pretty solid units here. Not all the best, but we have some solid stuff there. And if we go to the villain side of things, We have the Warboard Stowaway I don't really like, but the other 3 cards here I think are pretty solid. In Cunning, we have some nice stuff for sure. So Cunning Heroism has Kira, Cartel Turncoat, Coruscant Dissident, Liberate. All of these are like, I think, playable, legitimate cards. All of these seem pretty solid to me. So that's like 5 pretty solid cards. That's a good spot to be at. Then we have Fennec, who's kind of a bomb. Cloud Rider, who's really good. Surprise Strike is really good. Fugitive Wookiee's probably at least decent. Look the Other Way is playable. Boba Fett's armor is really, really good if we're playing Boba. Resourceful Pursuers is pretty good. Relentless Pursuit is quite good with Bounty Hunters. Privateer Sick is okay. So right now, this Cunning stuff is jumping out to me as having a bunch of good cards. I'm initially sort of inclined to make some kind of Cunning deck with either the Mandalorian or with Boba Fett, though awkwardly, this Boba Fett is actually not a bounty hunter. He's just Underworld, so he does not get the shield over there, but he does get the Boba Fett's armor synergy, which is really good. And then over here, Zuckuss didn't get Forlom to back him up, which makes him just kind of efficient stats. Slaver's Freighter can be, maybe okay. Triple Dark Raid is cool if we have the vehicles. Kintan Intimidator is okay. I like the Cunning Heroism more than the Cunning Villainy here. Then aggression-wise, Unlicensed Headhunter, Deathmark for some draw, Pillage, Hand Destruction, Rokai Gunship, that's okay. Wanted Insurgents, that's okay. Stolen Landspeeder is not very good in my opinion. Sorry, Stolen Landspeeder. House Cast Soldier is okay. Covetous Rivals is okay. IG-11's okay. Desperate Attacks. There's a lot of like okay, like not amazing, not garbage cards here. These are pretty strong. This aggression villainy pool I think is pretty legitimate. Again, it's only like 4 cards, but they're not bad cards. And then here we have Ketsu Onyo, Heroic Renegade, and Desperado Freighter. All of these are very playable, I think. Not amazing, but playable. So, okay, so my first inclination is going to be to do like a Boba Fett deck. With the immediate way that I would want to do that being Command Cunning Boba. So maybe we're going to take a quick look at what that might look like. So let's say that I'm going to move around a bit here so that I can access these cards more easily. Yeah, so let's say, okay, so let's say we keep the Bounty Hunter's Quarry that can get a unit in for cheap. We'll keep that. I don't love the Starhopper, but it's at least like a playable turn 1 card. Mercenary Company gets kept for sure. Timely Intervention gets kept for sure. We'll keep that. We'll keep that. We'll keep that as a big bomb. I don't love this, but we'll keep it. This card is maybe too aggro. We'll set it to the side. I don't know for sure if I want it. So now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say that we add Modded Cohort gets in for sure. Really good card here. 10. Echo is probably playable, so that'd be 11. And then Adelphi Patrol Wing puts us at 12. Then we will add 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And we'll add these as well, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. We're going to try to play at 30, which means that we need to find 4 more cards. So one option would be to play this A New Adventure out of Aspect. It still only costs 4 and is likely playable, but we don't have any awesome synergies with it. So what I'm going to do now is look at the neutral cards over here and the neutral and just heroism cards. So of these, Underworld Thug is honestly a quite playable card. And then I don't know if we have enough Bounty Hunters, but Bounty Guild Initiate is okay if we do. I really dislike this Cloud card because its stats are very bad for its price, even though it does have Restore 2. Rich Reward it's at least interesting. It's not terrible. And then the Mandalorian Warrior, I don't think we have enough Mandalorians for. So instinctively, I'm not thrilled with those except for the Thug. And then here, the Wookiee, none of these are really that good. So the Wookiee Warrior, the Protector of the Throne, and This Is the Way, that's not really that exciting. We probably put the Wookiee Warrior in just to be kind of a placeholder. He does have grit, and that synergizes with Boba Fett's ability. So if we were to have these cards, we would be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So we would need to find 2 more cards from somewhere. So out of aspects would be one option. There are a few cards that are actually good enough to be out of aspect, but you know, you might plausibly find something that's like, I think this is good enough that I still want this in the build. I don't know, the Pirate Battle Tank for 8 doesn't seem as appealing. Crosshair for 6 doesn't seem as appealing. We could run some mono aspect card. So these, I don't know, I mean, Fell the Dragon for 6 is like conceivably something you might want to take out a really big unit. It's not like actually it's not like good, but it's not garbage. None of these jump out at me as things that I want to play with an aspect tax. We could put the outflank back in as another combat trick. Bounty Guild Initiate does easily go in. Let's see what we look like. So if we have these, what I'm going to do now is, now ideally I would actually have other, ideally I would have other space in my area and would be setting this up while still maintaining the piles, but I don't have all that much space, so we're going to condense the piles a bit here. And the goal of what I'm doing now is just to see if we have an acceptable cost curve, which is something that not all decks have. If we have a notably bad cost curve, I might have to reconsider this build. So Bounty Guild Initiate, so this is basically a 6 cost. I'm looking also at our turn 1 potential plays. So you want to have several of these, and I have sort of two different piles. So one of them is going to be things of that cost, and one of them is things of that cost that are not units, because you kind of do care about those as separate things. So here we have, you know, we're actually going to do it like this. Let's just clear all this stuff off. It's a little easier to do it horizontally rather than vertically. So let's say, let's say this. Right now we actually do have a good number of opening plays. And I kind of put everything 6 and up into one pile, because that's sort of its own category. So like the Assault Cruiser and the Fell the Dragon are being grouped. Similarly, they look the other way as a 0 cost, but I'm going to kind of group that with the 1s and 2s. We do have, so we have we're really not likely to miss our, we are not likely to miss our turn 1 play with this build, which is good. We have some high end. We actually have some pretty good high end. Timely Intervention there. Mercenary Company. I think this is a totally playable sealed deck, and I would be happy to run this. I would be happy to run this at an event. So we're gonna say that's the build. So what we ended up going with was a Boba Fett Cunning deck. So let's do, Boba Fett with Jabba's Palace here. Very thematic Book of Boba Fett setup here. So Boba Fett in Jabba's Palace, you know, ruling the underworld here, and with some, I think, pretty solid cards. So yeah. All right, that's going to about do it for this one, guys. Thanks again to Fantasy Flight Games for sending me the free press kit for this set, and allowing me to get my hands on some cards early and show them to you guys as part of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the simulated pre-release deck building and simulated drafting as well for the groups of 3 pack 1 pick 1 stuff. And hopefully this will give some insight into the process for your own pre-releases. And yeah, I'm gonna be headed to several pre-releases myself. I think I've actually signed up for 5 of them. And you know, maybe I'll see some of you guys there. If you do see me at one of those, you know, feel free to say hi. But yeah, if you like this type of content, feel free to like the video. If you don't like this type of content, please feel free to dislike the video. I know it sounds sort of weird for me to say that, but it is actually genuinely helpful feedback as to what types of videos people like. And if you dispute any of my card evaluations or think my pack 1 pick 1 is crazy or whatever, feel free to let me know what you would have done in the comments below. And lastly, if you enjoy this content more broadly, please do feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, guys, and that's going to do it for this one. We'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content. I will catch you guys later.